I watched his mother hand my $10,000 wedding dress to the woman who destroyed my life. They stood in my living room, smiling, telling me I was never good enough anyway. They thought I'd just cry and accept it. They thought wrong. What I did next didn't just make them cry. It made them beg on their knees for mercy. And I recorded every single second of it. If you've ever been betrayed by someone you loved, if anyone has ever made you feel small, stay with me. Because this story is about to show you exactly what happens when you underestimate the wrong woman. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll be cheering. Hit that subscribe button right now, because you won't believe where this goes. Now, let me take you back to where it all started. Welcome to Reality Stories Hub. While you are here, please hit the subscribe button and comment your view on the story and where you're watching from. You know that feeling when you think you found the one? When everything seems perfect and you're floating on cloud 9, believing that finally, your life is falling into place. That was me. That was my story. But let me tell you something. Sometimes the people who smile the sweetest are hiding the sharpest knives behind their backs. My name is Sarah, and I need to tell you what happened to me. Not because I want sympathy, but because I want every single person watching this to understand something important. Never let anyone make you feel small. Never let anyone steal your joy and get away with it. Because what happened to me could happen to anyone, and what I did about it, well, that's why you're here, isn't it? 6 months before everything fell apart, I was living my dream in Seattle. I had worked my way up to become a senior architect at one of the biggest firms in the city. I designed buildings, beautiful structures that changed skylines. I was proud of myself. I had my own house, my own car, my own life that I'd built from nothing. My parents had immigrated here with empty pockets and big dreams, and I'd made those dreams real. Then I met him, Daniel. We met at a charity gala, one of those fancy events where everyone dresses up and pretends to care about causes while really just networking. But Daniel seemed different. He was a real estate developer, successful, charming, and he pursued me like I was the only woman in the world. He sent flowers to my office. He remembered little things I said. He made me feel seen. Within 3 months, we were inseparable. He'd show up at my place with takeout after my long days at work. We'd talk for hours about everything and nothing. He told me about his dreams, his plans, his family. And when he talked about his mother, Victoria, his whole face would light up. He said she was the strongest woman he knew, that she'd raised him alone after his father passed away, that family meant everything to him. I thought that was beautiful. I thought it meant he was a good man. God, I was so naive. 6 months in, he proposed. We were at this little Italian restaurant I loved, the one with candles on every table and that smell of fresh bread that makes your mouth water. He got down on one knee right there, and everyone in the restaurant started clapping. The ring was beautiful, not too flashy, just perfect. I said yes through happy tears, and I truly believed I was the luckiest woman alive. But then I met Victoria. The first time Daniel took me to meet his mother, I spent hours getting ready. I wanted to make a good impression. I wore a nice dress, brought her favorite flowers that Daniel had told me about, practiced what I'd say. I was nervous, sure, but I was also excited. I wanted her to like me. I wanted to be part of their family. We walked into her big house in the suburbs, and she was waiting in the living room. Victoria was a tall woman, thin, with perfectly styled hair and clothes that probably cost more than my car payment. She looked at me, and I mean really looked at me, up and down, taking in everything about me. And then she smiled, but it wasn't a warm smile. It was the kind of smile that doesn't reach the eyes. "So you're Sarah," she said, and the way she said my name made it sound like something dirty. "Daniel didn't mention you were so colorful." Colorful. That's what she said. I'm half Filipino, half Mexican, with dark hair and brown skin that I've always been proud of. But the way she said colorful with that tight little smile, I knew exactly what she meant. And it hit me like a punch to the stomach. Daniel laughed it off. "Mom, don't be old-fashioned," he said, kissing her cheek. "Sarah's amazing. You'll love her once you get to know her." But she never did. Every single time we visited, Victoria had something to say. My hair was too wild. Why didn't I straighten it? My job was too demanding. Wouldn't I want to stay home once we had children? My family was too loud when they came to visit. Couldn't we keep things more refined? And she said all of this with that same sweet voice, like she was just giving helpful advice, like she cared about me. My best friend, Kenya, warned me. We were having coffee one afternoon, and I was telling her about another comment Victoria had made. Kenya put down her cup and looked at me seriously. "Sarah, honey, That man is tied to his mother's apron strings, and his mother is a snake. You need to run. Run fast and run far. But I didn't listen. I thought love would fix everything. I thought once we were married, once Victoria saw how happy Daniel and I were together, she'd come around. I thought I could win her over with patience and kindness. I was wrong about everything. Wedding planning should be one of the happiest times in a woman's life, right? That's what everyone says. That's what all the magazines and movies tell you. You're supposed to be glowing, trying on dresses with your mother and friends, picking out flowers, dreaming about your perfect day. For me, it became a nightmare. Victoria inserted herself into every single decision. And I mean every single one. I'd find a venue I loved, a beautiful garden with trees and string lights, and she'd say it was too casual, not sophisticated enough for her family. I'd pick bridesmaid dresses in a soft lavender color, and she'd tell the bridal shop to show me different options without even asking me. She changed my color scheme from lavender and gold to cream and silver because it was more elegant. Every time I tried to talk to Daniel about it, he'd give me the same response. Baby, just let her have this. She's excited. This is her only son getting married. Can't you just compromise a little? Compromise. That word started to make me sick. Because it was never Victoria compromising. It was always me. Always me giving up what I wanted, swallowing my feelings, trying to keep the peace. But the worst moment, the moment that should have made me call off the wedding right then and there, was when I found my dress. I'd been looking for months, trying on what felt like hundreds of dresses. Nothing felt right. Then one day, in this small boutique, I found it. The dress. It was custom-made, ivory silk with delicate hand-sewn lace, a fitted bodice that flared into a flowing skirt. When I put it on, I felt like myself, elegant, strong, beautiful. It cost me $10,000, money I'd saved up from my own paychecks, money I'd worked hard for. I made the mistake of inviting Victoria to see it. When I came out of the dressing room, my friends gasped. Kenya actually started crying. But Victoria? Her face went cold. She walked around me in a circle, examining the dress like it was something she'd found at a thrift store. It's very revealing, she finally said. The neckline is too low. The fit is too tight. This isn't appropriate for a church wedding, Sarah. People will talk. They'll think you're trying too hard to show off. I felt my face get hot. This is the dress I want, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. This is my wedding, and this is my choice. She smiled that fake smile again. Of course, dear. It's your day. If you want people to remember you for the wrong reasons, that's your decision. I should have thrown her out right then. I should have told her exactly what I thought of her and her opinions. But I didn't. I just stood there, feeling small, feeling like maybe she was right, like maybe I was being too much. Kenya pulled me aside afterward. Don't you dare let that woman make you doubt yourself, she said. That dress is stunning, and you're going to look like a queen. Don't you dare change it. I didn't change it. But I also didn't forget the way Victoria looked at me, like I was something embarrassing, something that needed to be fixed. The week before the wedding was chaos. I was running around like crazy, trying to handle all the last-minute details. The florist, the caterer, the photographer, everything needed my attention. Daniel was useless, saying he was too busy with work to help. Victoria kept calling me with emergencies that turned out to be nothing, just her way of keeping me stressed and off balance. On Friday night, my bachelorette party was supposed to be my escape. Just me and my girls at Kenya's apartment, drinking wine, laughing, forgetting about all the stress. We were having fun, dancing to old music, telling stories. But I couldn't shake this weird feeling in my gut. Something felt wrong. I felt it in my bones. Around 10 o'clock, I told the girls I wasn't feeling well. Kenya looked concerned, but I promised her I was fine, just tired. I drove home, expecting to crawl into bed and sleep off this strange anxiety. When I pulled into my driveway, Daniel's car was there. That was weird because he'd told me he was at his bachelor party across town and wouldn't be home until late. But there was another car too, a silver Mercedes I didn't recognize. I sat in my car for a minute, my heart pounding. Every instinct I had was screaming at me that something was wrong. I almost drove away. I almost turned around and went back to Kenya's. But this was my house. My home. So I went inside. The downstairs was dark and quiet. But I could hear sounds from upstairs. Music playing softly. Voices. Laughter. A woman's laughter. I walked up those stairs, and each step felt heavier than the last. My hands were shaking. My heart was beating so fast I thought I might pass out. I reached my bedroom door, and for a second, I just stood there. Part of me didn't want to open it. Part of me knew that once I opened that door, everything would change forever. I opened it anyway. There are moments in life that break you into before and after. Before this moment, and after this moment. Before you knew and after you knew. This was mine. Daniel was in my bed. Our bed. The bed we'd picked out together. The bed where I slept every night. The bed where I dreamed about our future. And he wasn't alone. There was a woman with blonde hair tangled up in my sheets with him. Both of them naked. Both of them looking shocked when I opened the door. For a second, nobody moved. We all just froze like a photograph. Daniel's eyes went wide. The woman sat up, pulling the sheet around herself. And me? I just stood there, my brain trying to process what my eyes were seeing, trying to make sense of something that made no sense at all. Then Daniel jumped out of bed, scrambling for his clothes, saying my name over and over. Sarah, wait, this isn't. Let me explain. This isn't what it looks like, dash. But it was exactly what it looked like. The woman was someone I recognized. Her name was Jessica. I'd met her twice at Victoria's house. She was the daughter of one of Victoria's friends from church. Blonde, perky, worked as a pharmaceutical sales representative. I remembered her because she'd laughed too loud at all of Daniel's jokes, touched his arm too much, looked at me like I was temporary. Turns out my gut was right all along. Get out, I heard myself say. My voice sounded strange, distant, like it was coming from somewhere else. Both of you, get out of my house right now. Daniel started with the excuses. Baby, please, I can explain. This just happened. I've been so stressed about the wedding. I made a mistake. I love you. You have to believe me, dash. But Jessica? She didn't look sorry at all. She actually smiled at me, this little smirk, and said, he told me you two were practically over anyway. He said the wedding was just for show, that he was going to call it off. Something inside me snapped. I started screaming. I threw Daniel's clothes out the window. I told him if he wasn't gone in 5 minutes, I was calling the police. I didn't care about the neighbors hearing. I didn't care about anything except getting them out of my sight. They left, but not before Jessica gave me this look like she'd won something. Like she'd taken something from me, and she was proud of it. After they were gone, I collapsed on my living room floor and cried. I cried so hard I couldn't breathe. I cried until my throat was raw and my eyes were swollen. Then I started making phone calls. The venue, the caterer, the photographer, the guests, canceling everything. My dream wedding gone. My relationship destroyed. My trust in people shattered into a million pieces. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat there in the dark, trying to figure out how I'd been so blind, so stupid. How had I not seen this coming? What was wrong with me that he'd do this? Was Jessica prettier? Better? More what he wanted? The next morning, I was still in my pajamas, exhausted, emotionally destroyed, when someone started pounding on my door. Aggressive pounding, like they wanted to break it down. I looked through the peephole and saw Victoria standing there with Jessica, right next to her. My stomach dropped. What could they possibly want? Hadn't they done enough? I opened the door just a crack. What do you want? Victoria pushed past me like she owned my house. Jessica followed her, that same smug look on her face. We're here to collect Daniel's belongings, Victoria announced. Fine, I said, my voice dead and flat. Take his stuff and leave. But Victoria didn't go to where Daniel's things were. She walked straight toward my bedroom, straight toward my closet. I followed her, confused, asking her what she was doing. And then I watched in horror as she pulled out my wedding dress, my $10,000 custom wedding dress, and took it off the hanger. What are you doing? I grabbed at the dress, trying to pull it back. That's mine. That's my dress. Victoria yanked it so hard that I heard the delicate lace start to tear. I let go because I didn't want to damage it more, and she bundled it up in her arms like it was hers to take. Then she said words I will never forget for the rest of my life. This dress cost too much money to go to waste. Jessica will wear it when she marries Daniel properly. You were never good enough for my son anyway, Sarah. You were always too much, too loud, too ethnic, too ambitious. Jessica knows her place. She knows how to be a proper wife. I stood there frozen, watching her hand my dress, my beautiful, perfect dress that I'd saved for and dreamed about, to the woman who'd been sleeping with my fiancé. They walked out of my house with it. Just took it. Like I was nothing. Like I didn't matter. Like my feelings, my money, my heart. None of it meant anything. I sank to the floor after they left and cried again. But this time, the tears felt different. This time, underneath the hurt, I could feel something else building. Something hot and sharp and powerful. Anger. After a few hours of crying on my floor, something changed inside me. I dried my tears, washed my face, and looked at myself in the mirror. My eyes were red and swollen. My face was puffy. I looked broken. And I realized something. They wanted me to look like this. They wanted me broken. They wanted me to just disappear quietly, to accept what they'd done to me and move on like a good girl. But I wasn't going to do that. I called Kenya, and when she answered, I could hear the concern in her voice. "Sarah, are you okay? What happened?" I told her everything. The cheating. The dress. Victoria's words. All of it. When I finished, Kenya was quiet for a moment. Then she said something that changed everything. "Sarah, you're one of the best architects in Seattle. You design buildings that stand for decades. You know how to plan, how to build something from the ground up, and how to tear things down when they're not structurally sound. So why are you sitting there feeling sorry for yourself when you could be designing their destruction?" That's when it clicked. I wasn't powerless. I had skills. I had intelligence. I had resources. And most importantly, I had evidence. I spent the next week gathering everything. Text messages between Daniel and Jessica going back 5 months. 5 months he'd been lying to me. Bank statements showing that Daniel had withdrawn $30,000 from our joint account without telling me. Money I'd contributed half of for our wedding. I found emails where he'd lied to his clients, promising them things he couldn't deliver. I even had footage from my doorbell camera that caught Victoria making racist comments about my family when she thought I wasn't listening. I documented everything like I was building a case, because that's exactly what I was doing. First, I went after Daniel's business. Real estate developers live and die by their reputation, by their relationships, by trust. I reached out to his recent clients, very carefully, very professionally, and let them know about his character issues. I wrote honest reviews on public platforms about his dishonesty. Nothing false, just facts. Within days, his business partner, Robert, called me. Turns out Robert had no idea about any of this. When he started looking into things, he discovered that Daniel had been inflating property values, lying about inspection reports, and keeping money that should have been split with the firm. Robert was furious. He ended their partnership immediately and gave me copies of everything he'd found. I submitted all of it to the state licensing board. Daniel's whole career started crumbling. Then I turned to social media. I created a private account and started posting my story. I didn't show faces at first, just shared the texts, the timeline, the evidence. I posted the doorbell footage of Victoria taking my dress and saying those terrible things. I let people see exactly who these people were behind their polite masks. My friends shared it. Their friends shared it. Within 2 days, it had spread through our entire community like wildfire. Victoria's church group saw it. Her country club friends saw it. Everyone saw the real Victoria, not the sweet church lady she pretended to be. The reactions came fast. Victoria got removed from 3 different charity boards. Her friends stopped calling her. People who'd known her for years wanted nothing to do with her. Even Daniel's relatives started reaching out to me, apologizing, saying they'd always known Victoria was toxic, but never had proof. His uncle actually called me crying, saying he wished he'd warned me. The social destruction was complete, but I wasn't finished. Not even close. I went to the police and filed a theft report for my dress. $10,000 is grand theft. I sued Daniel for the $30,000 he'd taken from our account, plus damages for emotional distress. And when I went through our financial records with my lawyer, I found something even better. Daniel had forged my signature on a loan application to buy an investment property. That's fraud. That's a crime. I reported it to the authorities, and suddenly Daniel wasn't just dealing with a lawsuit. He was dealing with potential criminal charges. Jessica's family found out about everything too. Her father was a respected lawyer in the city, and when he saw what kind of man his daughter had gotten involved with, he completely lost it. He threatened to sue Daniel himself if Jessica didn't end the relationship immediately. The wedding they'd been planning, the one where Jessica was going to wear my dress, got canceled. Jessica dumped Daniel faster than you can blink. She wanted nothing to do with the mess his life had become. Meanwhile, I focused on myself. I went to therapy twice a week. I worked through my trust issues, my anger, my hurt. I threw myself into my work and got promoted to lead architect on a major downtown project. My boss said my strength during a personal crisis showed the kind of leadership they valued. I started working out again, eating better, reconnecting with friends I'd neglected during my relationship with Daniel. I went on a trip to Hawaii with Kenya. Just us, the beach, and healing. I began to feel like myself again. Actually, I began to feel like a better version of myself. Stronger. Wiser. Done with taking disrespect from anyone. 3 months after everything fell apart, Daniel showed up at my door. I almost didn't recognize him. He'd lost weight, looked exhausted, had dark circles under his eyes. He looked desperate and broken. "Sarah, please," he said when I opened the door. "Please just talk to me. I made the biggest mistake of my life. I love you. I've always loved you. Jessica meant nothing. My mother poisoned my mind against you. I see that now. Please, just give me another chance. Drop the lawsuits. Take down the posts. We can start over." He actually cried. Real tears running down his face. He got on his knees right there on my doorstep and begged. I recorded every word. I told him I'd think about it, and he left thinking maybe, just maybe, I'd forgive him. 2 weeks later, Victoria came. This time she tried a different approach. She tried to apologize. But it was the fakest apology I'd ever heard in my life. She said she was sorry for any misunderstanding, and that she'd only acted out of concern for Daniel. She tried to cry, saying she was losing everything, that people had turned against her, that her life was ruined. She even offered to pay me back for the dress, though she claimed it was damaged now and couldn't be returned in its original condition. I recorded her too, took detailed notes, watched her perform this show of remorse that we both knew was completely fake. Then they came together. That was truly pathetic. Daniel and Victoria standing at my door, both begging me to have mercy. They offered to pay back every penny. They offered to write public apologies. They offered to do whatever I wanted if I'd just make it all stop. They thought I was going to be the bigger person. They thought I'd forgive and forget, because that's what good women do, right? Turn the other cheek. Show mercy. Be gracious. I looked at them both standing there on my doorstep, and I felt nothing but cold satisfaction. "You want mercy?" I said calmly. "Where was your mercy when you stole from me? When you humiliated me? When you treated me like I was garbage? You didn't just break my heart. You tried to break my spirit. You thought I'd just cry and disappear quietly. But I'm not that woman. I never was." I made them apologize on camera. Made them write detailed confessions of everything they'd done. They thought this was their path to forgiveness. They thought I was giving them a way out. Instead, I gave everything, every recording, every confession, every piece of evidence, to my lawyer and to the court. I won my lawsuit. All of it. Full repayment of the $30,000 plus $75,000 in damages for emotional distress and theft. Daniel's real estate license got suspended pending investigation of the fraud charges. His reputation in Seattle was completely destroyed. He had to take a job managing a storage facility just to pay his bills. Victoria lost her social standing permanently. Her friends never came back. Her church asked her to stop attending. She became exactly what she'd tried to make me feel like, an outcast, someone people whispered about and avoided. As for me, I thrived. 6 months after everything ended, I met someone new. His name is James, and he's a college professor, kind, thoughtful, and he actually stands up for me. When I introduced him to his family, his mother hugged me and told me I was beautiful. His sister became one of my closest friends. They welcomed me with open arms, no conditions, no judgment. James and I are taking things slow, but it feels right. It feels healthy. He encourages my career, celebrates my successes, and never once has he made me feel like I'm too much of anything. With him, I'm exactly enough. I rebuilt my confidence and my boundaries. I learned that being kind doesn't mean being a doormat. I learned that some people don't deserve your mercy or your forgiveness. I learned that sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's justice. It's holding people accountable for their actions and refusing to let them get away with hurting you. Daniel still tries to reach out sometimes. Long text messages about how sorry he is, how he's changed, how he wishes he could go back in time. I don't respond. He's not my problem anymore. He's not my concern. He's just a lesson I learned about what I won't tolerate ever again. Victoria sent me a Christmas card last year with a note saying she prays for my happiness. I threw it in the trash without reading the whole thing. Her prayers don't mean anything to me. Her remorse doesn't undo what she did. They're both living with the consequences of their choices. And honestly, I sleep better at night knowing I stood up for myself. Knowing I didn't let them get away with it. Knowing I fought back with everything I had. People ask me sometimes if I think I went too far. If maybe I should have just let it go and moved on quietly. And I always tell them the same thing. They started a war they couldn't finish. They underestimated me because they thought I'd be too hurt, too broken, too concerned with being respectable to fight back. But I fought back with intelligence, with evidence, with the law on my side. And I don't regret a single second of it. Not 1 second. If you're watching this and you've ever been betrayed, ever been made to feel small, ever been disrespected by people who thought you wouldn't fight back, I want you to know something. You are not powerless. You are stronger than you think. And you deserve to stand up for yourself. Don't let anyone steal your joy and walk away laughing. Don't let anyone make you feel like you're too much or not enough. You are exactly who you're supposed to be, and anyone who can't see that doesn't deserve a place in your life. This is my story. This is how I took my power back. And if my story helps even one person find the strength to stand up for themselves, then everything I went through was worth it. Thank you for watching. Remember, when people show you who they really are, believe them. And when they try to break you, show them that you're unbreakable. I'll see you next time.